You cannot be joyful if your feelings are hidden, suppressed in your body. And what matters is to not make you try to be more happy, try to think positively, because these things are very superficial. Learn to be okay with these feelings and validate them. What I'm telling you here is to not think about your feelings, but actually go into them and feel them in your body. Most likely, if you're in depression, you're just not processing the pain, and that's all. Find where in your body this is happening. So, crying of healing is a crying of deep, intimate encountering between you and your feelings. The ego wants to feed into the negativity, it wants to have problems, it wants to be a special person that has a special story. Cry out of, I finally see my inner child. This is the direction. Hello guys. If you're depressed, you need to understand that it's only about suppressed feelings. Many people think that depression is very complex and the causes are unknown. But you need to understand that from my experience, I also experienced depression, and it's just suppressed feelings. Now it depends. In some cases, it can be some illness, or there can be other causes like the lifestyle, etc. But when we're talking about trauma, it's suppressed feelings, because all these feelings like anger, sadness, shame, they're so heavy. Energetically, they're so heavy that they cause such a state of depression. You cannot be joyful if your feelings are hidden, suppressed in your body. Because it's like weighting you down. It's like having a hidden bag to carry on your shoulders that is preventing you from living the life you want. And so if you're depressed, you're most likely in this state of nothingness, numbness, you don't really feel things, it's very heavy, there's no emotions flowing through your body, not so much, maybe sadness, not more. And your goal, if you want to get out of it, would be to learn to make these feelings come to the surface consciously, not by forcing, but by digging into the subconscious through therapeutic work or on your own, and learning to face these feelings and let them arise in your body without suppressing them, and learn to transform them. So for the anger, expressing the anger; for the sadness, learning to cry out this pain and facing this darkness; for the shame, learning to be yourself without pointing the finger at yourself and without putting yourself into judgment and categories. You can do this by doing body work. That's where it's really gonna help, like yoga, bioenergetics, but also therapy. And what matters is to not make you try to be more happy, try to think positively, because these things are very superficial. They can help temporarily if you're really in a bad place, but really on the long term, the real work is about facing these suppressed emotions and learn to not suppress. Learn to be okay with these feelings and validate them and meet them consciously. Okay? So if you're depressed, most likely you're a lot in your mind and you think about a lot of things. You think about your situation, you think about your feeling. What I'm telling you here is to not think about your feeling, but actually go into them and feel them in your body and transmute them consciously. It's very easy to suppress feelings because you learned to do this as a kid, and it was your defense mechanism, it was your way of going. And it's about relearning this and understanding that this is very unhealthy to do that. And maybe as a kid, you didn't have a safe space to be able to express your feelings, your parents were not available emotionally, or even physically, and you learn that suppressing can help you. But the truth is that suppressing doesn't help at all. It's just messing with your life. And so let's not invent stories about depression. And let's not trap ourselves into thinking that because we're in depression, we are a special case. And because we're in depression, we are unlucky or we are ill. Most likely, if you're in depression, you're just not processing the pain, and that's all. And it can take a while, you're not going to get out of depression in 2 weeks. But over time, as you keep doing this stuff and you keep healing, over time, over maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. For me, it took like, I would say, 3 years to really feel like I was not depressed, and I was not losing myself into depressed states. But for me, I had very, very strong childhood trauma, very intense, very traumatic. So you have to see the long-term vision of this and understand that you've lived like this your whole life. And for some of you, suddenly you started to become depressed and you think they just fell on your head. But the thing is that at some point in our life, the things from the past start to emerge again. And that's where we need to pay attention to them and not go into blind mode and close our eyes. This whole heaviness that you carry inside of you, pay attention to it. Where is it in your body? Is it mainly in your heart? Is it mainly in your belly? Is it mainly in your head? Find where in your body this is happening. Where is it? And get in touch with this heaviness. How does that feel like? What's the texture? What's the temperature? What's the like? Allow yourself to experience this and be with it. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry, and it's okay to have shame. These are valid emotions. You're allowed. You have my permission to feel this. And maybe give yourself the permission to feel this. And so it's not about trying to move away from the heaviness. It's about meeting it. It's about going in that direction, put your hands in the dirt, and clean that. But to do the cleaning, you need to have a safe place where you can share what you feel and what you can process. Because when you have such a strong depression, the sadness is deep. You will have to cry a lot. When I say that you can get out of it, it's not because some of my clients, they come to me and they say, "But Tim, I've been crying for years. What's the point of still crying all the time?" And I usually tell them, "Yes, but you've been crying unconsciously. You've been crying by feeding the story of you being depressed. You've been crying out of attachment to your story. What I'm talking about here is crying out of healing, which is crying consciously without attaching yourself to these feelings and without identifying to these feelings and letting them flow and let your life change. That's what I mean. And that's different than just crying be like in self-pity, So some people are like this. So crying of healing is a crying of deep, intimate encountering between you and your feelings. It's not a crying of, oh, my life is over and all of this. It can happen sometimes. But the best cry, the most healing cry, is a crying of self-love with these feelings. It's a crying of softening into the pain. It's a crying of making peace with your life. That's a different way. We have to differentiate the ego and the natural healing. The ego wants to feed into the negativity. It wants to have problems. It wants to be a special person that has a special story. It wants to make others see how much you suffer. That's the ego. What we want to do is move out of the ego and instead cry out of I want to change my life. Cry out of I'm done with this. Cry out of I finally see my worth. Cry out of I finally see my inner child. This is the direction, if that makes sense. It's a way of caring about yourself, not a way of trying to, you know, push your story away and suppress all this stuff. So yeah, that's all. I hope this was helpful for you. And if you need help to do this, if you need a space, then I can provide this for you. We can do one-on-one work, and I will help you process this suppressed feeling and make them arise to your conscious. So thank you, and see you soon.